Addiction and alcoholism as kind of, I've struggled with it most of my adult life, well, all of my adult life, you know, even my teens, there was issues there. I came to a point where in 2015 where I basically called for help, and I was lucky enough to receive a residential treatment centre where I went away for a month, you know, learned a little bit about recovery, about fellowship and things like that, but it wasn't less than, you know, or more than 6 months before I was worse than I was before I went in there. So, you know, I cobbled together and I was continuing to work, and family was growing. By that point, my second daughter had come along, and bless her, and you know, I got to a point where home life was so difficult. The isolation, it's interesting, like the issues we've had over the last year, that isolation is real when you're in addiction. You know, it's like it's a different type of form of loss almost, you know. We'd got to a point where I just wasn't the right person to be around children or my wife, you know. So I think by that point I was put again with a bit of asking, but a little bit more of a kick up the backside. It was like, you need to go and do this again, but you need to do it for longer. And in 2018 I went to a residential treatment centre in Bournemouth for 3 months, and I got to a point where I was learning to accept that there was no other way out. You know, I had to accept the help that people were freely giving me, and through the grace of God, through my wife, that she was still supportive. You know, she's an amazing woman. Of course, there was those moments where she and I, you know, thought that actually maybe this just isn't going to work, you know, and but you know, thank God, she stood by me, and I stayed there for 3 months, and I came out, and we got put in contact with St Mary's, and the church at the time was a building site. It was about to launch, and I started to get plugged into the community, and of course we came to the service, the opening service at the end of September, and you know, I just felt this, like, you know, my faith in church was non-existent. You know, I had no faith growing up. There was no church life, no you know, Sunday school, you know, none of that. And I think I got to that point again where I was sort of like, let's stop arguing with this. Let's just surround yourself in the right people, get involved in community, and that's when I started volunteering for the church. The community and the people around me, I had never felt so loved. You know, I'd never felt so supported and seen. And welcomed, you know, regardless of where I'd been in my past. And I started to just realise that, wow, I've gone 6 months without thinking about using, drink or drugs. You know, I couldn't go an hour. You know, it's that kind of, like, a lot of people talk about triggers, and like, that's just my triggers was me opening my eyes in the morning. You know, that was my trigger. It took a long time for me to really truly accept that actually it wasn't the people that around me that believed in Jesus that was helping me. It was Jesus himself, you know. And I think when I accepted that, again, it was that back to that point of, like, not arguing with, oh, it can't be Jesus. It's, you know, it's just the team, you know, or my family, or you know, and that's funny because it's never been that way, you know. Like, people have tried to help me in the past, and it's just never worked, you know. It's like human power, as we say in recovery, it's just like it's not powerful enough. You know, prayer and worship and massively new things to me. You know, I wasn't involved in, like, who goes to work and sings on a Tuesday morning. Again, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's not a, like, you know, I was this happened and now it's all rosy and, you know, the rest of it. Life goes on, you know. That obsession and that kind of, like, those decisions don't Like, I don't believe the lie that my head tries to tell me sometimes, that there is another way, there's a better way, because I've found the better way. And I think now, 2 years down the line, we as a family have seen the back of it and started to really, be a proper family again, or maybe even so for the first time, like be a real family group and family cohort that can go out and have, great days out in the forest, or, great days, out doing whatever on holiday, or when we're allowed to, and all that kind of stuff, and the relationship I have with my wife is surrounded now in trust, because she does trust that I won't make those decisions anymore, and that I am telling the truth, and I am doing X, Y, and Z, and that kind of relationship is a real blessing, and that's come from, my ability to stop arguing, let go of all the preconceptions, and just accept the help that's come from around me and from above, and it's just it's really like, it's great, it's great. I've found a freedom and hope through Jesus that I'm just so thankful for, and I can continue to live and grow as a person and as a family member, knowing that He will support me through that.